I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks. I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in Toronto. It is March 3, 2023. Really happy to be with Ewan Webster. He's the president and CEO and a geologist. He heads up Thesis Gold. It's a company I've learned to know about recently. I saw a couple of spectacular drill holes and took a closer look at it. And I said, this is a story I have to tell my subscribers about. So Ewan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Jay.
So tell us about your main, what you're really working on. Well, it's the ranch project, and it's in the Golden Horseshoe part of British Columbia.
Yeah.
Very prolific, lots of great mines up in that area. Just tell us about your project. And I mean, some spectacular drill holes, and also it seems to me you have a great amount of scale there too. So the potential for building something big would seem to be, that's what attracted me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thesis has been around for a couple of years now, and as you said, we're solely focused on our ranch project, which is north central British Columbia. It's in what we call the Golden Horseshoe. Yeah. We're on the eastern side of the eastern limb, yeah. And it's in the Tooddogone mining district. So quite a bit of work through there in the 70s and 80s, including on the ranch project. Mm-hmm. And we acquired it a couple of years ago now. Last year we had a pretty significant program on the project, about 40,000 meters of drilling. Mm-hmm. And that was all exploration and expansion drilling of a number of these known deposits on the project. It's a high-grade gold epithermal system, mineralization essentially starting at surface. Mm-hmm. And there was some known zones of mineralization, as I mentioned, and they were kind of isolated pods of mineralization. And really the objective on the 2022 drill program was to, can we connect these together? Can we build out something of significant scale here? So two of those particular deposits, Bonanza and Ridge, we've effectively linked those up now. They extend over 700 meters in strike length and in places down to 250 meters depth and kind of wide open. Then we have another area, the Thesis structural corridor, as we call it, and it's made up of 3 different zones. And we're still waiting to put results on that out from last year's program. So some news flow to come there. But again, that was the same objective. Can we connect these? It looks like, certainly from the alteration and the visuals in the core, that's going to hang together really nicely and probably be about 1.5 kilometers in strike length. And again, currently down at about 250 vertical meters in places. So, back to your point about scale, yeah, I think we're well on track to demonstrating that there's a significant deposit here.
Right. It seems to me, I'm looking at one of your maps, the new discovery was something like 3.5 kilometers from Bonanza Ridge. Is that true?
That's true, yeah. So we discovered the Steve zone this year, and Is
it part of the same system?
It's part of the same system, yeah. So, I mean,
whether it hangs together is the question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I think there's about 40 square kilometers of alteration, let's say, and it's just part of one large epithermal field, a lot of structures and faults that control the mineralization. And we've been pretty good about making sure that at the same time we're doing the drilling, we're doing all the kind of baseline exploration work, so soil sampling, rock sampling, mapping, geophysics, and the Steve target, that ticked all the boxes, and we had a really nice zone there. So we poked a couple of holes into it, and sure enough, made a new discovery this year. So looking pretty forward to getting back into the field and following up on that this summer. But it was about 120 meters of a gram, down about 400 meters, and there's mineralization on surface as well. 220 meters along strike from that, we drilled the second hole, hit the same system. So, again, to your point, like it looks like there's some significant scale there in that one target alone.
Yeah, I love those 100 gram meter intersections.
Yeah, me too.
They're mind builders if there's enough of them.
Yeah, indeed.
So your program going forward in 2023, do you know how many meters you plan to drill, when you might start, when you might finish?
Indeed, yeah. So as I mentioned, we're still waiting on some of those drill results coming in from last year's program. So once we have all of this in, I'm going to be in a much better position to kind of decide how many meters we want to do this and where. That's exactly it. But I think, we're going to drill at Bonanza and Ridge and keep working on expanding that gold footprint, the Thesis corridor, following up at Steve again. But we have a ton of other good targets that share the same characteristics as those known zones of mineralization. So I want to make sure that we're also efficiently testing some new zones as well.
You're $64 million market cap the last I looked, and you've got a pretty tight share structure. Could you talk who are your major shareholders?
Yeah, so we've worked pretty hard at keeping that share structure tight. Just under 65 million shares out. About 25% of that is held by management, insiders,
Wow,
close
that's
friends. Good. Yeah, so we're completely aligned with our shareholders here. And then we have a lot of institutional support in the story, probably about 60% of our shareholder base, with some big names through US and Canada, Franklin Templeton, ASA Merck, in Canada, Equinox. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know. You're the skin in the game from the management. And you're financed pretty well for this program well, you don't know exactly your program, but money in the bank?
We've got about 14 million in the bank, so
terrific.
Certainly in a very good position as we head towards the drilling season this year.
Yeah. So I guess I always like to conclude these short discussions about what sort of share price drivers might be investors be looking out for. And you mentioned you still have some drill results coming from last year, 2022. And if they're anything like some of the recent ones, it should get somebody's attention.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, we've still got most of the holes that are still to come are from that Thesis structural corridor. And as soon as we get them back from the lab, I'm going to turn them around as quickly as possible and get them out.
Any idea how soon?
They should be soon. They've said that early March we should have everything back. Okay. So
well, this is early March.
Exactly. So sometime soon. And yeah, then those drill results, I think, looking forward to the summer, another big drill program, so some good catalysts there. And hopefully we can do similar program to what we did last year, so maybe 40,000 meters. And I think early 2024, we might be in a good position then for kind of maiden resource on the project.
Good. Well, it's really exciting. And anything else you can think of? Or
no,
so just keep watching your story, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think, we've covered all the highlights, and really it's very tight share structure, great shareholder base, well capitalized for another big drill program this year. As you said, we're working on expanding that gold footprint. We've made some new discoveries at the Steve Zone, among others, and a lot of good news flow to come through 2023, sorry. Jumping ahead of myself.
2024, maybe a resource in 2024.
Maybe a resource in 2024.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, it's really a great story, and I'll certainly keep my subscribers up to date on it, and really look forward. It's really great meeting you in person. Thank you so much.
You too. Thanks, Jay.